Chapter 4. Testing my ability and his patience. Ensuing a week of rigorous conditioning, I am tasked to see one priority which latches itself onto the garb of my awareness like a persistent child. Revitalization. I've come further in 1 week than I had expected. My mind and body deserve the nurture I have in store for them. I must drink from Silver Creek. Its waters host unmatched healing properties due to its direct source being the mother well, the deep reservoir of the mother tree. Conveniently, I have access to the river just 10 km north of my home, and thus I shall rest there before returning to the village. Wasting little time, I arrive at early dawn on the creek's west bank. I pull a canteen of a bark exterior, lined with tree resin to prevent leakage, from under my cloak waistband and tilt it so the neck is facing the relaxed current. After it has its fill, I activate the dormant of the water with a brisk tap infused with that of my own. Lifting it overhead, I chug and gulp its contents down. First, a frosty fog occupies my insides, cramping and contracting me as I wince in preparation for the familiar pain. Then a boiling steam, providing at first a relief from the icy cold and then a scalding agony. Finally, once this has subsided, a deep exhaustion overcomes me. Confident that I am in a secure area, I doze off with no effort on my part. Sweet sleep overtakes me. A tingling and creeping sensation covers and envelops me like a blanket composed of newly hatched and sprawling insects. Not immediately remembering where it is that I am, I spring to my feet in an alarming panic. Every single time, I think to myself, I am no stranger to the properties of Silver Creek's waters, but the benefits tend to be coupled with their opportune cousin, discomfort, and that intolerable final stage of prickling unease always catches me off my guard. Despite the brief disassociation and annoyances, I deem the undesirable byproducts of ingesting these waters all the worthwhile, for I now feel as though I could punch a hole through one of the moons. My strength is both restored and enhanced, and thus is to be expected.
What is it that makes you smile so widely, huh? Your blue skin is flushing red.
An unmistakable tone. Denai stands behind me. Naturally, one of my dearest friends, and he is so in spite of the inherent sneering that plagues his disposition, would have chanced to guess that I would be here if I could not be found elsewhere. He does well to assume my seeking out these waters after my training. If you've got a moment, I slowly pivot to face him. I'll show you! I shoot towards Denai at full speed, sliding over the scree of the bank towards his legs. With my left calf latching behind his ankles and my right shin just above his groin, I trip-slam him back first into the berm's rubble-sprinkled ground. His face flusters. Perfect. He is angry enough that he will likely forego withholding his gravitas so that I may test my newfound strength and truth. I leap a great, cautious distance backwards, knowing what's to come next. For a brief moment, once he has risen, all of the oxygen around us begins to pull towards the fuming Denai, including the air from my own lungs. Dead silence follows for about 5 seconds or so as I gasp mutely. Then, he detonates. A dark green flame with a bright white outline ignites and dances wildly around his frame. Years ago, he focused this same fire into a 30-amma torch and disintegrated a minor meteor, thwarting its scheme to eradicate a small village near the coast of Marmar. He loathes that I am constantly challenging him. However, I have yet to win. With that being said, it is only natural that I long to secure at least one victory. Additionally, this is proper practice to prepare me for my Tamasu friend. The hot fumes distort his howl, welding to it a trembling bass.
Whom command? Ivoria's cannon!
His arms extend my way, and his palms let loose a flurry of screeching ivory-lit globes of fire. Each blast swallows the oxygen around its direct vicinity. I know from experience to envision the flames larger than what they are in order to avoid my breath being pickpocketed mid-combat. Dodging the bulk of them, I inhale deeply as I prepare for the periphery of his barrage. Unscathed, I counter the final fireball. Command, mask! His incendiary blast meets my charged gauntlet. The heat tears through my mask and singes my knuckles, but the counter is successful. Mirroring his attack, I sent it soaring back towards its source.
Command, sap.
His haunting whisper echoes across the land and through the channel of the slothful river. And just as its name entails, it grants Enea the invasive ability to sap and repurpose the of his opponent and their offensive. In this instance, the offensive is my reflection of his conjured fire. A white smoke leisurely twirls up and away from his palms once they have absorbed the blaze.
Do you know that it is inconsiderate to refuse a gift? Here, you can have this back, tenfold!
Enea gasps heavily, drawing a great breath in through his maw. The flames that pen his aura are washed in and siphoned into his lungs. His upper torso rises and expands stupendously, his head tilted up as though suppressing a heavy nosebleed. He wouldn't, would he? Surely he jests. He couldn't intend to strike me with such tremendous force. He'll withdraw at the last second, I know it. He bluffs. Breathing the emerald fire into his palms, he massages it into a blazing sphere. Then, just as he postures to fire, the soil beneath him unexpectedly and inexplicably caves inward. The recoil of the blast proves unreasonably violent, making it impossible for him to ground himself, and the fiery cannon is haphazardly launched upwards, darkening the tint of the already green sky. The turf persists in its gobbling him up as he struggles greatly to slip loose from the world's gurgling maw. I rush over to his aid, but Oma devours him swiftly and voraciously. His arm alone remains exposed. Throwing my belt forth from the edge of that feasting pool, I make an attempt to lash it around his wrist, and then, as though it were all but a dream and I had yet to awaken from my slumber by the creek, everything blinks into a staying blackness, and I am consumed by darkness.